The bells had not yet stopped echoing over the rooftops of Rome when it began. May 8th, 2025. A day that will be remembered for generations, when Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost of Chicago, a quiet figure with Augustinian roots, stepped onto the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica and became Pope Leo XIV. The crowd of over 200,000 in the square fell into breathless silence. And somewhere, hidden far from the cameras and the chants of "Viva il Papa," a cloistered nun pressed her hand to her chest. "Sister Bernadette." She whispered the name before it was even spoken. She knew. She had seen it. Not with her eyes, but in a trembling vision granted years before. A pope from the West. A man of hidden light and quiet suffering, and beside him. Not above, not below, but beside. A shepherd of Asia bearing 5 signs of fire and rain. Luis Tagle, the one whom heaven named Echo Bearer. In the silence of her small convent cell, Sister Bernadette had written in her journal, "He will not be Pope, but he will stand beside the one who is, and the signs shall follow his hands." Now it is happening. Only 10 days after his election, Pope Leo XIV reopened the papal apartments, long left sealed by Pope Francis, who chose to live humbly at Casa Santa Marta. It was seen by many as a return to tradition. But what few noticed, what Sister Bernadette saw in prayer, was the symbolic unlocking of something else, the inner chambers of prophecy. Just 6 days after the white smoke rose, a video was released showing Pope Leo embracing all 132 cardinals in the Sistine Chapel. A beautiful moment, but one that held a deeper meaning. When he reached Cardinal Luis Tagle, he lingered, eyes wet with something unspoken. And in the background, the Sistine ceiling flickered, just once. A light anomaly, or a sign. A few days later, the world would find out that during the final ballot of the conclave, Cardinal Tagle had quietly approached Cardinal Prevost with a small piece of candy. "Peace offering," he had whispered with a smile, just before the vote that would change church history. To most, it was a sweet gesture between brothers in Christ. But to those who have studied the visions of Sister Bernadette, it was the second sign, the sugar before the sorrow. Because now, rumors are emerging. Unverified perhaps, but never ignored by those who watch. On May 24th, it was claimed in Vatican circles that Pope Leo XIV signed a confidential document appointing Cardinal Tagle to a new and unprecedented spiritual office. One that does not yet exist on paper, but exists in prophecy. They call it the Office of the Watchman, a role foretold to appear only when the Church enters its final phase of purification, when the veil between heaven and earth thins, and the shepherds must either speak or be silenced. And still, the signs continue. On May 22nd, Pope Leo made a move no one expected, appointing Sister Tiziana Merletti as Secretary of the Dicastery for Institutes of Consecrated Life, the second woman in church history to hold such power, a bold and beautiful decision. But it came just 3 days after a Jubilee gathering where a cloistered nun from San Marino delivered a message that stunned the room. "The veil is lifting. We must prepare for eternity before us. And then there is Lourdes, and Manila, and Rome. Where the Blessed Virgin once appeared, there are whispers now of movements in the air, unexplained fragrances of roses, lights that flicker in rhythm with whispered prayers. In Tagle's home country, the faithful report hearing bells at night, bells that ring even when the churches are locked. In Rome, a statue of the Sacred Heart was seen weeping near the Tiber. No confirmation, no explanation, only silence. And faith. Sister Bernadette saw it all. She saw it before it began. She wrote, "The dove will descend, the altar will tremble, the man of Asia will speak, not to lead, but to awaken. He is the echo, and the 5 signs will surround him." So what? are the 5 signs. The first, the rise of a pope from the New World, fulfilled. The second, the offering of sweetness before the storm, fulfilled. The third, the appointment of a woman into the heart of the Curia, fulfilled. The fourth, the unseen bells ringing in the lands of apparition, occurring now. And the fifth, it has not yet come, but Sister Bernadette described it with chilling clarity. When fire comes from the mouth of the river priest, and the sky turns to velvet above the eternal city, then the fifth shall strike. Luis Tagle has always been seen as a man of peace, of kindness, of humility. But even Moses stammered, even Jeremiah wept. The prophets are never crowned. They are sent. And now the Vatican whispers, why is Pope Leo XIV moving with such speed? Why does he keep Cardinal Tagle so close? Why did he unlock the papal apartments? Why did he embrace the ancient throne with reverence and tears? Because he knows. He knows what Sister Bernadette saw. And now, so do you. The final sign approaches, and when it comes, the Church will never be the same. Stay awake, stay faithful, and watch the East. And so the veil continues to lift, not with the thunder of armies or the trumpet blasts of kings, but with whispers in prayer, candles that won't go out, and the trembling breath of saints unseen. Something ancient is stirring beneath the foundations of the Vatican, beneath the white stones soaked in centuries of martyrdom. For years, the bride of Christ has walked wounded, splinters of scandal, veins of division, her garments torn by wolves disguised as shepherds. But prophecy speaks of a time, a short, terrible time, when the bride will be purified by fire, when every mask shall fall, and the Church will shine again with the radiance of the early saints. That time is now. Pope Leo XIV, once a quiet Augustinian from Chicago, now finds himself standing not at the head of an institution, but at the threshold of a cosmic battle. His election may have looked like consensus, but those who saw the conclave from within speak of a storm. Factions, threats, promises made and broken. Cardinal Luis Tagle, some say, was nearly chosen. Others whisper that he stepped aside voluntarily. But why? Because he knew what Sister Bernadette had written. Because the prophecy was not about wearing the white. It was about guarding the light. The 5 signs were never about power. They were warnings. Warnings for the Church, for the papacy, for all of us who still believe that the gates of hell will not prevail, but that they will press hard against the walls before the dawn, and the pressure is mounting. Inside the Vatican, ancient factions have begun to move like shadows at dusk. They do not wear horns or hiss in corners. They wear robes, titles. Some smile in public, but in private, they twist scripture like a blade. They speak of modernization, of progress, but their true aim is erasure. The Holy Eucharist, the real presence, is their target. And Sister Bernadette saw it coming. She saw chalices overturned. She saw a golden host shattered like glass. She saw 2 men at an altar, one kneeling, one standing, and a voice from heaven crying, "Only one is mine." Pope Leo XIV, for all his gentleness, has made enemies quickly. Not with violence, but with obedience. Not by force, but by fidelity. He prays longer than others. He weeps when he blesses children. He speaks often of the Sacred Heart. These things, in another age, would be signs of holiness. Now, in the twisted eyes of some, they are threats. They fear his silence. They fear his strength. They fear the man beside him, Tagle. For Cardinal Luis Antonio, Tagle, beloved in the Philippines and admired across the globe, is not merely a cardinal now. He is a living seal of something greater, of promises made long ago, of prophecies buried under years of dust and denial. The 4th sign is still unfolding. Pilgrims report that in Lourdes, where Our Lady once appeared to the humble Bernadette, Suberus, the candles near her statue flickered backwards. Against the wind, in Manila, a child born deaf was reported to have spoken the words, "He is coming," while pointing to the cathedral doors. In Rome, thunder shook the ground beneath the Lateran as Mass began, though the sky was clear. Coincidence or confirmation? You must choose what to believe. But know this: Sister Bernadette saw these moments before they ever happened. In the final pages of her private writings, hidden away in the convent archives and only now being leaked by insiders who can no longer remain silent, she penned this chilling phrase: "When two doves rest upon the tomb of the fisherman, and the bells of the holy city ring without being touched, the fifth sign shall strike. The bride shall bleed, and those who sleep shall awaken." Reports have now emerged, quietly, reverently, that on the night of June 13th, two white doves were seen resting atop the tomb of St. Peter. A priest guarding the basilica tried to shoo them away, but they would not move. They simply sat there, unmoving, staring at the bronze statue of the first pope. And then the bells rang. Not loudly, not in chaos, but with one long, solemn toll. No one had pulled the rope. No one had touched the mechanism. The tower was empty. But the bell rang. And Sister Bernadette's fifth sign had begun. Now, the question remains: what will happen next? Inside the Vatican, the pressure is growing. Lines are being drawn. The quiet war between those who serve Christ and those who serve another is no longer underground. It is rising. There are whispers that Pope Leo may soon issue a document restoring traditional reverence to the Holy Eucharist, and that others are prepared to resist him. There is fear. There is division. But above all, there is light. Because the bride is not abandoned. The Church is not forsaken. The Lord of hosts has promised that he will purify, not destroy. That he will cleanse his temple, not tear it down. But he will use fire. He will use silence. He will use his chosen ones, the little ones, the quiet ones, the faithful few. People like Sister Bernadette. People like Pope Leo. People like Cardinal Tagle. Do not be deceived by smiles in press conferences or vague messages of unity. True unity costs something. It requires truth, and truth always bleeds before it triumphs. We are in the time of bleeding now, but the triumph is near. The bride of Christ, once veiled in sorrow, will shine again in white, but only after the shadow passes. Only after the fifth sign completes. Only after the altar shakes and the river priest speaks. He is coming. He is watching. And heaven is no longer silent. And now, all heaven watches. The air above St. Peter's Basilica is not the same. It trembles. Faintly, but unmistakably. As if the sky itself knows that the war has entered its final phase. The marble halls of the Vatican carry more than footsteps now. They echo with old prayers and hidden agendas. Each chamber holds the residue of choices made long ago. Some faithful, some damning. The Church of Christ stands at the edge of two eternities. In the depths of the Apostolic Palace, where few may enter and fewer may speak freely, there is a silence so heavy it crushes the soul. For within those walls, men who wear scarlet know exactly what is unfolding. They speak little, but their eyes betray them. Some weep, some rage, others smile. Because not all who wear red serve the Lamb. Some serve the beast, and that beast is cunning. He does not enter with horns or flames. He enters with suggestion, with innovation, with false light. He whispers, "Let us evolve." He tempts, "The Eucharist need not remain sacred." He mocks, Your bride is outdated. Let her be remade. But the bride of Christ cannot be remade. She can only be refined. And refinement comes through fire. That fire is descending now. It begins in the hearts of the faithful, in young seminarians suddenly called to deep fasting, in cloistered nuns awakened at midnight to pray for a pope they've never met, in mothers lighting candles not for safety, but for prophecy, in exorcists who say the demons grow bolder, but also more afraid, because they know their hour is short. And what of Pope Leo XIII? He walks the corridors with the weight of Peter's keys pressing on his shoulders like the very cross of Golgotha. His eyes are kind, but tired. He sees what few dare name: the corruption, the compromise, the covert plans to dismantle the sacred from within. They told him to be cautious. They told him to wait. But God told him to act. Behind closed doors, he has already begun writing a letter, a papal declaration, a warning, perhaps the last of its kind. Within it, he will defend the real presence, expose spiritual treason within the Vatican, and call all bishops to choose Christ or collapse. It will cost him everything. He knows this, and he does not flinch. Meanwhile, Cardinal Tagle, once thought by many to be the heir apparent, moves not in ambition, but in sorrow. He visits chapels. He prays in silence. He touches the wounds of a church he loves more than life. He has no throne, yet the nations look to him, because he carries something no office can grant: the burden of foreseen signs. He is the watchman, and the fifth sign is almost complete. On the night of June 20th, a nun in Tuscany reportedly fell into a state of ecstatic revelation. Witnesses say she cried out the name Tagle 7 times, then collapsed. When she awoke, she whispered a final prophecy: the altar will break, the bones of the holy will sing, and then the lion will roar from the throne he never wanted. The lion, not a pope, not a cardinal, a lion. What if it's not a man at all? What if the fifth sign is not a moment, but a presence? What if heaven is not simply warning us, but coming down? The book of Revelation spoke of it: a woman clothed with the sun, a dragon waiting to devour, war in heaven, war on earth, and the Lamb who opens the scrolls. We thought that was poetry. We were wrong. It was a map. And now, the final map is opening. The coordinates point to Rome, but the tremors are global. Churches in South America report bleeding statues. A Eucharistic host in Nigeria began glowing during adoration. A bishop in Poland broke down sobbing during Mass and whispered into the mic. He is no longer at the door. He is in the sanctuary, and somewhere, deep in the Vatican vaults, a document lies sealed. It was written by Sister Lucia of Fatima in the final days of her life. It was hidden, locked away, and declared, not for this time. But times change, and times end. Sources now claim that Pope Leo has read it, and that what it reveals matches Sister Bernadette's final vision exactly. There is a sentence in that document that has never been spoken publicly, but a trusted source, one who has risked everything to leak it, has shared its final words. When the man of white and the man of shadow stand beneath the same cross, and lightning touches the dome without storm, the time of silence ends, and Michael shall rise. Michael, the archangel, the defender of Israel, the guardian of the church. He is rising. This is no longer a crisis of leadership. It is a collision of realms. Heaven, earth, hell, all converging. And the bride of Christ, she stands bathed in light and blood. Her crown is thorns and stars. Her breath is broken hymns. But her heart, oh, her heart still beats, still believes, still burns. She has endured betrayal. She has endured division. She has endured mockery, scandal, and silence. But she will not endure defeat. And now, to those with ears to hear and eyes to see, take your rosaries, light your candles, go to confession, adore the Blessed Sacrament as if your soul depends on it, because it does. Prepare your homes, consecrate your hearts, choose your side, for the bride is rising, the signs are fulfilled, the heavens are moving, and in the coming days, the world will remember that the Catholic Church is not merely an institution. She is the ark. She is the army. She is the bride, and the groom is on his way. But before the wedding, there will be war. And before the war ends, Rome will hear a sound it has not heard in 2,000 years. A trumpet blast from the sky itself, not blown by man, not called by vote, but by heaven's own mouth. And when that sound comes, the world will fall silent. The veil will be torn, and every soul will know Christ is not returning as a lamb. He returns as a lion, and this time, he comes for his bride.